Hi, welcome to the Travis Scott Burger podcast.
Alright, that's what we are now. You know what? I wasn't big on the name when I first heard it, but after letting it settle for about 3 seconds, I'm cool with this. Let's go. Travis Scott podcast, let's go.
We'll give you all the updates on Travis Scott and his burger. Why does Travis Scott have a burger?
I don't know. I have yet to hear the story behind this.
Basically, Travis Scott is just a rapper, and he partnered with McDonald's to make the Travis Scott meal.
The Travis Scott meal?
Yeah,
is it
but
more than a burger?
Yeah, it's a quarter pounder with bacon, and then it's like someone playing the Wii in the background.
Someone playing a Wii in the background?
I swear to God, I heard a Wii sound in your background.
No, that's my text notification.
Oh.
I just now got your sick notification.
Bruh. No, but it's a quarter pounder with bacon and it's fries with barbecue sauce and then a soft drink. Only at McDonald's. And honestly, though, I'm really debating going to just working at McDonald's for a couple days because they have a crew Travis Scott shirt and it looks pretty cool.
That's very interesting. That's very interesting indeed.
But that's besides the point. Actually, I fooled you because we are the free-to-play podcast.
Wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You liar! How could you do this to me? I trusted you.
I'm sorry, man. I had to lure people in with the Travis Scott burger so that I could temper their expectations. But no, we're the free-to-play podcast. Every week on some day, I don't know what day, we will give you all the delectable gaming news and maybe an update on the Travis Scott burger.
Maybe. You have to stay tuned in to find out. That's how we get you. That's our hook.
Housekeeping, I guess. Follow me on GG. That app has gotten a resurgence lately, and no one really follows me on there. And I post a lot of gaming things, like a lot of reviews, and I have cool lists. So go check it out at Porkchop118 on GG. It's a cool app. It's like Letterboxd for gaming. It's sick, and I know the guy that made it. Why? I don't know why I'm talking like this. Like I'm trying to talk down to you, like a baby.
I mean, I don't. You wouldn't be wrong. I don't know things. What is a GG?
It's like a really cool app where you post reviews and stuff of games, and then you also have little lists and stuff. So you get to choose. It has a bunch of games, and then you can choose if you're playing it, if you've beaten it, if you completed it, and then you can make certain lists. Like I have a list of games I've platinumed. I have a list of the games I beat this year. I'm working on a top 50 games list, kind of stuff like that. It's a really cool platform that I really enjoy. You can rate games and all that. You should make one before the next episode. It'd be pretty sick.
Yeah, that does actually sound really cool. I could post all my P4G stuff.
Do it, dude. And then I don't know, maybe we'll have socials next time. Maybe by the time this episode comes out, they might be in the description. Okay, so backstory on this podcast, right? Me and Andrew have recorded an episode a year or so ago under a different name, and then it was half of an episode though. So it just never came to fruition, and then we'd always talked about doing the podcast, and then it kind of just never happened. And so the other day I was like, bro, I just want to talk about games again. And then I finally have a job that I work in the mornings and shit. So I was like, Andrew, I don't know what this podcast is going to be called or anything, but let's just record it. And he was like, I bet.
Shit, man, I'm down. Yeah,
so,
let's go.
Yeah, so we might have socials and shit by the time this goes up. Just check the description or just search every day until they're up. That being said, go ahead.
You'll never know. You'll never know when it'll happen. It'll just happen at some point. just keep on checking. It may be the second episode. It may be the 15th episode. It may be in season 1. It may be in season 5.
Yeah, maybe they'll just never come out. Maybe you'll never know when we have an episode because socials won't go up.
Our socials will forever be a mystery.
Maybe we'll just fill up our social security numbers instead.
Yeah.
Either way, I never did a proper introduction. I am your co-host Brent, joined by my other co-host Andrew.
We're both co-hosts. We co-host together.
Exactly. You better get used to it. But Andrew, enough of that stupid ass housekeeping. What have you been playing this week or this year? Because it's been a really long time.
It has been a really long time, hasn't it? Okay, so like the good like 2/3 of my year has been taken up by a JRPG, which definitely checks out. The JRPG in question is Persona 4 Golden, which was like released on Steam at the time of recording this, like a couple months ago by now, I think. And I got it like immediately as it came out because it was just $20, and I grew up playing Persona 3 Portable on the PlayStation Portable, and I fucking loved that game. Like, I really enjoyed it a lot. It was hard, and I fought the boss the final boss when I was like at level 56 when I should have been at level 80. So that was a fun time. I loved the third game, and I heard a lot of good stuff about the fourth game. So I picked that up, and I started playing through it. So much so, and was thoroughly enjoying it as well. So, like, about, like, I don't know, like, anywhere from 7 to 12 hours into my first playthrough, I was like, I'm gonna get all the achievements for this game, and so I've been really trying to grind out every single Steam achievement on Persona 4 Golden ever since, and I'm almost done with my second playthrough now, and I've gotten really close, but I've kind of, like, honestly weaned myself off of the grind, because I, for lack of a better term, fucked up in my second playthrough too, and I missed, like, all the, like, I didn't, I guess there's, like, still a couple of books I'm missing, because you get to read books to raise your skills and unlock some things. So I guess I missed a couple books because there's an achievement for getting all the books, and I'm at, like, one of the final days in the game, and I don't have that achievement, and I'm at the point in the game where there's no more books being sold in the library, in the bookstore or anything anymore, so I guess I missed a couple books somewhere, because you can also get books from, like, just hanging out with friends and stuff. So I was very upset by that, and I decided to quit, because I was like, God fucking damn it, I have to go through a third playthrough to get this shit, and I'm not ready.
So you ever gonna do that third playthrough?
Fucking, I don't know, man. I've sunk like 200 hours into this game by now, because the average playthrough takes about 100. I guess
Jesus.
It takes more like 80 when you know what you're doing. So not quite 200, but pretty fucking close.
Bro, it says you were last online on Steam 74 days ago.
Yeah, I was very upset by I was so very upset by Persona 4. But it's due to my own, like, fucking hubris, really, because I'm not good at time management. That's why I had to do a second playthrough, because I couldn't get through all the social links. Like, some social links, like Margaret's, I never even started, because I couldn't find the right skill cards to put on the personas that I needed. Because that's how Margaret's social link works. She'll give you, like, different tasks, and all those tasks consist of giving a certain persona a certain ability. So, like, I think the first one was an Ippon-datra, I think that's how you pronounce it, persona, and it has to have the Sukaja ability. And I never got that because I couldn't for the life of me get that skill card. And then my second playthrough, it was like the first skill card I got. So that was a bit of a slap to the face.
You liked Persona 3 a lot. Did you ever play Persona 3 Q? Because I've always been, like, curious about that one.
Persona 3Q or Persona Q Shadow of the Labyrinth?
Was it not Persona 3 Q?
No, it's just the series is just Persona Q, and it combines the cast of the third Persona game and the fourth Persona game.
Oh,
So it combines the cast of both of those, and I do actually have that and have played through it, and it's pretty alright. I think it's made by the people who are behind the Etrian Odyssey game, so it plays a lot like that. It's like one of those like first-person view things where you're exploring a tiled dungeon. So like each move you're going down a tile. So it's one of those kinds of games. That's kind of how it plays, and instead of the typical like 4 party members setup, your setup for this one is like you have 5 party members, and you have 2 different rows. You have a front row and a back row. So like the back row is better for like support and range stuff, and the front row is generally better for more offensive type stuff.
Yeah.
So it kind of plays like that, and it's an enjoyable experience because of like the way it plays and the setting that it sort of takes place in, which is basically just a school. There's not really like social links or anything per se. Like you're not going around and hanging out with people and shit. So like they replace that sort of by just having like different like cutscenes like that show the casts of the different games just hanging out with one another instead of you just hanging out with a bunch of people.
That's kind of cool. I've been really intrigued by the Persona series lately. I'd say like my first one was 5. I've started that game I think maybe 20 times or so. And it's not even that I don't want to play it. Like I really want to fucking play it, but there's just so many times where like I look at that. It's daunting. Yeah, it's like I'll look at that 100-hour like time, and I'm like, I could go play this game, or I'm just gonna go play COD with my brother, or like I'll start it and I'll get off for the night, and then sometimes I don't pick it back up. Now I'm in that position though where I really want to play it, but I don't have Royal because I have the base one, but Royal's at now, so I'm like, I've barely played 5, so I should just play Royal, right? Since that's out now, that's like the definitive version. So I'm kind of just waiting until I get that. I did emulate though Persona 1, so I want to start that soon. Yeah,
the original Personas.
Yeah, I've heard it's kind of but I want to start it and kind of just see.
They're better than you think. They're obviously a product at the time because they came out a while ago, and I don't know if I'm a very big authority to say this because I technically haven't played them myself. But yeah, they're pretty good, in ways of how things go. They're a lot different though, from like the standard, I guess like formula from like 3 onward. They've because they're like the first games in the series, so. They kind of got their own things going on, and Atlas doesn't seem to like to talk about those games anymore. So they've just kind of been forgotten since. But I think they're worth like a look, just to see how it was before, because they're good on their own merit and stuff. But they're from a while ago, and I've been meaning to try and like get into that myself. Just haven't had it in me to really go back and actually do that just yet.
Yeah, I really want to, but we're getting into like September, October now, so it's like it's almost like award season, so I'm almost feel like I'm forced to play the games that are coming out, but also a lot of the games that came out earlier in the year, like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Resident Evil 3, which I have and I've played parts of. But now it's getting down to the wire that I want to beat those before the Game Awards like happen, and also on top of like getting the new games as they come out if I'm able to get them and stuff like that. So it's hard to go back in my backlog at this time of the year and kind of play old things.
Right, I get that. I don't really struggle as much with that, mainly because like the I guess position that I'm in, like I don't really go after a lot of the newer games and stuff, so I just play a lot of the stuff that I have, which is, to be fair, is still a good portion. Like if you check my like fucking Steam library and stuff, I have a lot of shit. Mm-hmm. It's just like I'm not like really actively adding to it, I guess. So I don't. When it comes like a lot of the new stuff, by the time like it's like time to play that kind of stuff, I've already seen other people play through it instead, so I kind of already know the gist and kind of know the stuff that happens. That doesn't mean that I don't want to like play through those games myself someday, but it's just like not as big of a deal to me, or it, like isn't as much importance, since I kind of like know the stuff already, as just like going back and trying to like generally experience things that I have yet to experience, like some older games and stuff, and some other games that I've been playing recently.
Yeah, I think that's always the struggle with me because I have such a big backlog. Part of me wishes I could sell all of my Steam games, like not even for money, which would be nice, but just for because it is kind of harder when you have so many games. It gets harder to pick which one you want to play. Like back when I was a kid, I had like maybe like 4 games or something, and I would play those 4 games to death. Like Minecraft was one of the only games I had on Xbox One or something like that. I mean, not to mention I fucking loved it on the 360, but like when you're a kid, you might have like 4 or 5 games, and you're gonna play those games for like thousands of hours because that's what you have. But when you grow up and kind of become an adult, or like get a job and stuff, and you start trying to fill the void of like what you didn't have as a kid, all these games you wanted to play, you're like, oh, I wanted this game as a kid. It's on sale on Steam. Let me grab it, And then you just never really end up playing it because there's just so many games in your backlog. It gets hard to play it. And I've tried to do like random rolls and stuff, like, oh, it rolls in this game, I'm just gonna play it, but I still find a way to talk myself out of it. And it gets harder with the position I try to be in, right? Which is I want to be, I guess, part of games journalism in a way. Like I want to be big in the industry, so I always feel like I need to play the latest games, and I've definitely been getting way better at it this year than usual. Like I've played so many more new games and beat them like very quickly than I have a while ago due to like stupid mental health issues and shit. So it's been really nice to like do this, and recently I have been trying to go back on my backlog, which is a good chunk of like what I've been playing on my list. But I'll let you get to the rest of your list first. It's just it does get hard when you have so many games, especially Steam games that you bought for like $2, and it's like I bought it for $2, but am I really gonna play that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of got that way when I was like prepping for college and stuff, and using college money on not college, because I discovered places like what was it called again? It was like G2A and like some Fanatical and other such sites like that where you get like bundles and shit. And
G2A gets me in a lot of trouble, which is how much I buy from there.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, I never buy indies from G2A. I just want to make that very clear.
Excuse me. So yeah, I just because I would like get bundles and shit because that's more value for your buck. But I really only cared about like one of the games that I knew was gonna be there, and then I get a lot of other shit like for every like Rogue Legacy, there's gonna be like an action Hank, and shit like that.
Especially when you get into things like Humble Bundle, like when you buy the bundle for the 1 or 2 games you want, and you end up getting like 6 different like smaller games. Like I remember I bought the Humble Bundle for COD World War II because I really wanted that, and it came with Crash and Spyro Remaster, which are great games. I just didn't really want them on PC, like I want them on PS4 to get the platinum trophies. So it's like I have them now on PC, which is great, but I'm probably not going to play it because I don't really want to play it on PC.
Mm-hmm. Right. I kind of have that habit with some of the collections I've been getting, which like mainly because like it's not like I really own these games on any other platforms. I'm just not interested in playing them on PC on Steam, especially because some of the Steam versions of these games are just not that great in comparison. Like I know I have that with like going on with the Resident Evil series. I've been trying to like get all of those in order. I'm missing Revelations 2, 7, and then like the 2 and 3 remakes. But other than that, I think I have like all of them like in order, released on Steam. And like I played like Resident Evil 4. I got all the achievements on that one, but Yeah, the Steam one is not great. For one, like you just cannot get English subtitles. They just don't let you do that. Um, there's also like some weird things with the cutscenes. Like I've noticed there's like some points where the QuickTime event buttons don't really show up. Also, the resolution just isn't as great. I feel like it's more like a port, so I guess like I understand that, but like it looks so much better like when you're just playing it on like the Wii or something. I still think the Wii version is. Anyways, I still think the I still think the Wii version is probably one of the best versions of the game, especially because I think that had like the most to it. I can't remember for sure because I played it when I was a kid, so I don't really remember for sure. But I think there's some stuff about the Wii version that just doesn't show up on like the Steam version. Like I'd rather play it on something else that isn't Steam, basically. And I'm sure I'm gonna feel that way for some of the other games too. Like
I wanna ask you real quick on the Resident Evil 4 thing. I wanna ask, do you think it needs a remake? Because when 2 came out, like the 2 remake, I feel like a lot of people were like clamoring like, oh, let's see what they do with 4, but we have to wait for 3 to come out so we get to it. And then 3 came out, and I saw a lot of people being like, oh, this is ass, please don't remake 4. When it's like, for one, people didn't really like the original 3 that much, so I mean, why is the remake gonna blow you away? But for 2, it's like I still think they would do good with the 4 remake. But my good friends over at Respawn Aim Fire, which I was going to shout out later in the podcast for one of the games I'm playing, they have this series called BARF, Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends. This recent one they did was Resident Evil 4. And a lot of them were kind of like talking about how, like I think Dusty played it on the Switch, and I think Holden and Chad probably played it on PS4. But they even went into like the GameCube and the Wii versions and saying how like it still feels like a clunky game today, and how like if it was to get remade, they would hope like the controls and stuff would get kind of like fixed and it would just be more polished. Do you kind of feel the same way, or do you think like looking back on it today, like playing it recently, is it still kind of a game that holds up for you?
okay, right. I gotta think about this a little bit because I don't really have a lot of issues with the clunk. I can understand the clunk. I can definitely understand it because like it's very close over the shoulder type of camera and it's tank control movement. So I get those things, but like at the same time, like I grew up playing this game, so I know like how to work around it and stuff. But for newcomers, I could definitely understand that being like an issue. Not saying that like I'm not necessarily saying that they're newcomers or anything. I don't know, but I'm just like approaching it from like remake like potential and stuff. Um, the way that it is, like, I suppose the controls could be a bit of an issue. I think it's more a matter of like things like the old Silent Hills. Like it's a thing, like it takes some getting used to, but if you do get used to it, you'll find that it just works a lot better as it is. That's just how I personally feel, as opposed to like more modernized controls and such. And I think there are so many things about the game, like as it is now, that are just so good, like on its own merit, that I don't really feel like it Resident Evil 4 needs a remake of any kind necessarily. Like if they decide to go that direction, then like I wouldn't really care either way. Like I would hope they handle it well, of course, but like I always have the original to go back to and stuff if it turns out 4 is ass. But like I don't really think it needs like a remake so much as like I would be excited to see like kind of a remaster, like where things like are updated like graphically and stuff, and like I don't think it needs to be like remade from like the ground up or anything, but I would like to see like a remaster or something. But I think it's fine the way it is. But again, that could just be like my fucking bias and shit, because like I grew up playing it, so it's kind of my baby, and I think it's good how it is, and I don't really want to necessarily see it change.
Yeah.
Especially not in the style of like the more recent remakes like 2 and 3. I just don't really want I just don't want to see that. Like, I don't have a problem if it does do it. Like, and if it does do a remake, I would like to play it just to see like how it is. Because who knows, I might be wrong. Like, I might play it and it plays like 2 and 3, but it turns out to be, like, if not even better than, just like really good in a whole other way. Like, maybe it's not like the way that I like to see it, like in the original, but it's still really good, just in a completely different way. Like something like Final Fantasy VII Remake, from what I've heard.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VII Remake is pretty good. I definitely need to finish that. I think for me, I don't really like Resident Evil, so it's hard going into this conversation. I guess my only real experience is I played 1 on Steam because I wanted to get into the series before 3 came out, and I really hated it. I guess
don't think that was a good idea.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say I don't think that was a good idea. It's probably one of those things where it's better to start with one of the more modern ones first, because like even if you're playing like the fucking like GameCube style remaster of the first game, it still has those like very interesting control schemes and stuff. And I have this same like kind of feelings when I had it on Xbox One and I tried to play it, and I had the exact same experience of like I got maybe like an hour in, before I was like, this is really I don't hate this per se, but it's really I don't want to like talk shit on it because it's obviously something near and dear to a lot of people's hearts, but it's very difficult for me to get a handle on, and I just don't think I can do it because like I'm about an hour in now, and I haven't really gotten used to how it feels yet.
Yeah, I think those early survival horror, like no camera type games are really kind of. I know a lot of people that played them back in the day love them, but it is hard to get into today. Like there's certain games you can like take a step back and be like, oh, let me put myself in a 1998 kid's shoes, and then kind of be like, I know I have good games today, but let me put like a perspective in check. For me, Resident Evil 1 was just like really hard to do that with. Mm-hmm. I did start Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I got kind of bored, but I could have been tired that night because I just beat Doom Eternal, but like, I don't know. I'm going to play 3 before the end of the year. So that should take like 1 day to beat. It's like 6 hours, but I don't know if I'm really a survival horror kind of guy. But I think 4 getting remake would be pretty cool because remakes do bring a lot of like potential for a lot of things. Like going in a little bit, I'll touch more on like the Tony Hawk remakes. Like that was kind of like in the Spyro and Crash remakes. Those are kind of like an example of taking like the same DNA and really like making it just like better to play today, and making it something where like you can play it again and love it still and be like, this is my childhood, and a new person can come and play it and be like, this is amazing, like this speaks to me now in a version that I can play now, kind of thing.
Yeah, I can see that.
What else have you been playing, big boy?
Not much else. I recently like broke out the old 3DS again. And I got like a couple of different titles that I never even really knew were here. I'm pretty sure I never got them, and I don't think like my siblings got them because they don't really play the system. But there were a couple of titles, and they're both kind of similar in like the type of genre that they are. But I've been playing some Rune Factory 4 and some Fantasy Life lately, and one I like more than the other. Like I've been enjoying them both, but like one of them has like a good deal more issues, I guess, to them. So like Rune Factory 4, I've been thoroughly enjoying. I haven't played it like in a couple weeks by now because I've started picking up Fantasy Life. But I played Rune Factory 4 a lot, and I got like really into it because it's like one of those Harvest Moon types. Like sort of farming simulator kind of games, like, you know, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley. I think the subtitle for the Rune Factory series is a fantasy Harvest Moon, because it's made by, like, some of the same people and whatnot. So that's basically what Rune Factory 4 is. It's a fantasy Harvest Moon. It's got fantasy elements, fantasy RPG and stuff. Like, you have different weapon classes and stuff. I went for the spear, which, as I read in forums later on, may not have been the best choice. I hear, like, dual blades and stuff are really good. Because you got the swords, you got the dual blades, you got axes and hammers, spears and staffs and stuff like that for all your different weapon classes, which is very cool. I always like that. I like seeing, like, you know, different like weapon sets that you can choose between, because like that gives you, like, you know, it plays differently. Like with your different weapons, you have, like, it's suited to different playing styles basically. And I wanted to go for the spear because I wanted to try and, like, go for that, like, sort of, like, you can't, like, just go swiping around at enemies, you know, you gotta be more precise about it, but you can do it from further away, and you can, like, really hit the targets. And then, like, for Rune Factory 4, you have, like, basically everything is skills, from, like, your weapon stuff to, like, eating and sleeping and, like, all the farming type stuff. You have skill levels for everything. So, like, at a certain skill level for spear, you get this, like, special attack where you hold your attack button, and then you just fucking, like, go ballistic. You keep stabbing the enemy with the spear just fucking repeatedly, and I love it because it staggers. It has a high chance of, like, staggering the enemies to where they can't really move, and you can just wail on them with the spear attack, like, just over and over again, like, in rapid succession, depending on how weak the enemy is. And it's always so satisfying to pull off when you can just, like, have an enemy, like, fucking, like, staggered into the air, like, you just keep hitting them so they never, like, really fall back or anything, so they're just, like, in their falling pose the whole time, and you just keep racking up the high numbers and shit as you, like, just fucking wail on them. And then, like, when you get that final hit in, then they, like, fucking fly, and it's so satisfying to see. But the story that it tells is a pretty, you know, it's a fantasy story. It's, like, it's not really much to write home about, but it is engaging enough to where it does do the job. And it's generally pretty, since it's, like, a game where you're, like, all on time management and you're doing a lot of farming and stuff. Its overarching story, like, at most points, is pretty good about, like, you know, making it, like, kind of believable that you're just doing the goals assigned to you, like, whenever. So, like, it's not like one of these things where, it is like that at some points, but it's not often like one of these things where, like, oh, you have to go get the MacGuffin and save the world because it's, like, about to fucking fall apart if we don't do something soon, and then you take, like, 2 months to, like, get up a bunch of money from all your farming stuff and, like, upgrade your room and, like, get a bigger bed and stuff like that. Maybe go mining for a couple days, and then you're like, all right, I'm ready. Let's go save the world. Like, fucking 2 months later, and, like, you just go outside, and, like, the fucking world is already fucking destroyed, like, several chasms everywhere, like, a bunch of hellspawn just flying around, claiming souls. Like, it's generally pretty good about stuff like that, and your protagonist is pretty alright, you know. The thing about the protagonist is it's not like, the silent protagonist, you know, since it's, like, a more in-depth kind of story, your protagonist does speak for themselves, and they do have kind of a set personality. It's one of those kinds of things. So it is, like, kind of shame for me to be, like, you know, like, I don't feel like I have as much control over how the protagonist acts and reacts as I would like. And, like, that's understandable. You gotta, like, act within reason for stuff like that. There's only so much you can do with, like, player customization and stuff. Because I was disappointed by the fact that you weren't able to, like, really, like, you know, customize how you look that much. You weren't really able to make, it didn't really feel like you could do much to make the character your own. And, like, there's, like, a point in the game where you get, like, different, like, you can wear different clothes and stuff. but like most of the clothes are just palette swaps of the same outfit, and you have your own character portrait, and you never have your changed clothes in the character portraits, so it's a little jarring to like look at. I think the only outfits you really have a different character portrait for are sleepwear and a bathing suit. So yeah, there are some things, like, mainly about, like, the main character kind of stuff that I'm a little disappointed in, but overall I was really enjoying my time with the game. Then there's Fantasy Life, which does a lot more for your, like, character creation stuff, because you can actually make your own character, like, from scratch. But, of course, to sacrifice that, your character does nothing at any point during cutscenes and never says anything, and they poke fun at it sometimes. It's like one of those games where it doesn't really take itself too seriously, so it's just a fun little story, and that's all nice and well and good and stuff. I have some problems though. For one, it's fucking slow. It's slow. There's, like, loading screens for, like, pretty much every transition into different areas, which can definitely, like, kind of, like, drive you a little mad, like, after a while. Especially when you're playing more recent and modern games that either don't really have loading screens that much, or don't take very long to load at all. Like, for something like Rune Factory 4, like, when you go into a different area, it'll fade to black, and then it'll fade right back in. Like, there's no, like, little loading at the bottom right corner like Fantasy Life has. And it does that for, like, pretty much every area. The life system, which is basically a job system, is alright. You have, like, I think about 12 different jobs to choose from. You have 4 main combat ones, which is, like, Paladin, Mercenary, Archer, and Wizard, which I went to go for Wizard, but Wizard isn't really all that great. Because I couldn't make a dent in the stronger enemies as I was moving on in my wizarding skill, my wizarding class. I just was not making a dent in the stronger enemies, and I was getting really fucking frustrated with it. So I switched to Paladin, which was a lot simpler and just absolutely wrecked everything, because it didn't take very long to level up, because I was far in the game by that point. And then you have a lot of other classes, like, angler, woodcutter, cook, chef, fucking tailor, carpenter, and blacksmith. And they're all well and good. I like the idea behind it, taking on different jobs that give you different perks, and you're, like, doing different things. But, the thing about it is it's less of a class system and more of, like, just this, like, status that you can just switch between at, like, any given time. Which is alright enough, like, just in concept, but for a lot of stuff, it feels like you really have to, like, switch between a lot of different things to, like, really get the most out of some of your jobs. Like, for example, carpenter, blacksmith, and tailor, they're all very closely knitted. All their job locations are in the same building. So you're off in, like, all the stuff that you need, like, because you're making stuff in those classes, so you need, like, different recipes and stuff. And those recipes call for materials that you make through the other jobs, like, carpenter and tailor. For, like, blacksmith stuff, you need, like, some form of silk and, like, some, like, oak beam or something from the carpenter. And the thing that sucks about that is you're constantly having to switch between jobs to do this stuff. It's nice enough that, like, it doesn't make you have to, like, go to the job office and switch to a different job in order to use the different workstations, but, like, you can't turn in, like, any of the job missions that you have to complete in order to improve your job rank. It doesn't allow you to turn any of that stuff in until you're the specific job. So you have to go through a loading screen to get to the job office, go talk to the guy, go switch your job, and then you gotta go back to the workstation area, and then go talk to your job, like, supervisor, which is basically the life master, as they call it, which is the person you report all your missions and stuff to. And you gotta go talk to them and then report their stuff in order to get all the things completed. And then, like, when you get later on, like, for blacksmith, when you get, like, far enough into the ranks, it gets, like, the recipes get very complicated, and you're high enough a rank where you get like a special ability that you basically need in order to be really effective at making the stuff. So when you get to like fucking adept rank and shit, you might as well be switching between all the classes in order to just make some stuff anyways, because that's at the point you are in the game now. So it's very irritating. It's very tedious, basically, is the long and short of it. A lot of stuff about the game is very tedious, and I've been growing increasingly more frustrated with it, which is why I've kind of like weaned off it since then. I still enjoyed my time with the game, but again, as my like fucking 12 minutes of explaining have shown, I have some problems.
How would you feel if I wasn't listening to literally any of that?
I would be absolutely okay. I know I tend to ramble sometimes.
No, I'm just kidding. I hear you.
Just...
You know, I'm glad you care so passionately about a game that you can just like ramble for like 20 minutes without anyone having to interject.
I get away from myself. You know, anger or fucking frustration is often a good motivator to just go off on tangents.
Honestly, I think one of my best reviews I've ever wrote is one about this fucking stupid ass movie called Cosmopolis, because I was going through all the movies that Robert Pattinson was in, and I saw that movie on Vudu free with ads. So I was like, I'll watch it. I'm hyped for Robert Pattinson to be Batman. He's a good actor. I watched it, and I swear to God, I was so fucking pissed off that I wrote like the best review I've ever written, just completely going into that movie.
Video when?
Honestly, like, I might actually make a video on it. That movie really pissed me off. But I've talked enough about it, like, on podcasts and shit.
Oh, you have talked about it before?
Yeah, I have a movie podcast with, I co-run it with two of my other really good friends. It's called the Uncultured Opinions Podcast, where we talk about movies and shit. It's really
Shameless
fun.
plug.
I guess, yeah. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I spend that same amount of time you just spent talking about one game to talk about, like, 12?
Nah, man, you know what? I've taken about, like, 43 minutes. It's fine. Go on and do your thing.
Alright, I guess, like, the first thing on my list is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I kind of talked about it a little bit already. I didn't grow up with these games. I maybe played it for like 5 minutes. But I did play Tony Hawk's Underground a little bit as a kid with one of my friends. So like I don't have too much of a nostalgia for it, but I do skate. Like I do ride skateboards and shit, and I really enjoy the whole sport, I guess. Well, I mean, people will get mad if you call it a sport, but you know what I mean. But so I enjoy skating a lot, so I got into Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I really enjoy it. Well, they give for the pre-order, they give you the demo of the warehouse. I played that demo probably for fucking 15 hours before the game came out. I really enjoyed it. I got really good at just the tricks in the warehouse. So by the time the game came out, I started feeling like I was having fun, but I started feeling not so hot on it, only because like I suck. Like I'm so fucking bad. Mm-hmm. So it's like games tend to like not feel as fun when you're like bad at them, especially a game like that. But it's a really solid game, and I still want to play more of it. I've beat the Tony Hawk 1 side of it. I've almost got all the challenges done on that. I still really enjoy the game, and I want to get good at it. And I keep playing like the Heat Championships a lot to like get good at the game. So I mean, it's a. What'd you say?
Right, I was just letting you know that I'm invested in the conversation.
But it's a lot to like. It's a learning curve kind of thing. But like once you kind of like get the hang of it and start learning how to play, it's a really enjoyable game. Ghost of Tsushima. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I get that. I'm gonna be completely honest with you though. I'm not a big fan of the Tony Hawk series.
Really?
And it's purely for a very biased reason, and not a very good one.
Are you a skate boy?
No. 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 But I actually, I didn't grow up with this game, but I did have it as a child, and I played it for like 20 minutes, and I was like, I'm fucking bored, and I never wanted to play it again. And to this day, like skate games just do not do it for me, and I don't know why. Because I've been bored by games before and like put them down, and I'd be like, yeah, okay, it's just not my thing, and it's still the case with this game. But like with this game, it's like it kind of transcends beyond the point of just being like, oh, it's whatever, to like I'm just not that big a fan of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's still fine for people to like it. I'm just saying that I don't like it that much because of one experience I had when I was a kid, and it wasn't even like a traumatizing experience. It was just like, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not vibing.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I'm getting into with when I say that I wasn't too hot on it, but it's hard, right? Because there's a part of me that really fucking loves the game, but there's another part of me that knows I'm bottlenecking my experience because there's so many times where I'm really enjoying the game when I'm doing these challenges, but then there's other times where I'm just beating myself up over it because I'm like, I can't get this challenge. Like, I'm literally just kind of like skating through this huge environment, doing like 2 tricks maybe, and it's hard for me to like build up the momentum that most people can.
Right.
But it's like I still enjoy the game. Tony Hawk really is one of those games though where I think it garnered the experience that it did through kids that played it back then. But like I was talking about way earlier in the show, when you have like 4 games and like if Tony Hawk is one of like the 3 games you own, you're gonna play Tony Hawk a lot, and then you're gonna, by happenstance, you're gonna learn how to play the game and learn the combos and learn the moves. Maybe you'll go to a friend's house and he'll be like, yo, look at this 360 Madonna kickflip revert heel flip trick I just did, 900 revert thing. Like,
I've heard of that.
Hey man, 900, like, Tony Hawk's a legend. But yeah, so it kind of gets down to that. I think that's why it garnered the thing it did. And so now people going into this game now like know how to play it. So it's hard for people like me that didn't grow up on it as much, but I also really enjoy skating. So it's like I'm going to want to play this game, and I really fucking love it. It's such a good game, a labor of love. Even though I suck at it, I still want to keep playing. I still want that platinum. So it's like, I'd say if you were bored one day, I would emulate it. I'd emulate 2, I'd say. Maybe 1 if you're bored.
I would commit a crime.
Or find a copy online.
The shame.
But maybe, like, just try it out a little bit. Maybe look up, like, a guide or something. Like, I watched, like, when the Warehouse demo came out, I was kind of ass. I watched like a 15-minute video and they pretty much explained everything. Even they give a tutorial in the main game, the new one, that tells you literally everything you need to know. But if you're bored, I'd say go through and maybe give it a chance and kind of learn how to play it, because it's a fun skate. I don't think you'd ever really like because it's too much of a skateboarding game, you know, like it's serious. But Tony Hawk's a fun arcade game where you're doing like 50 tricks in one combo that like you could never do. You know, you're grinding on helicopters, you're going up on the roofs, and you're like flipping and doing a bunch of things. Yeah, Tony Hawk.
And speaking of Tony Hawk, Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima. So I played this when it came out, and I don't want to talk too much on it because if you follow me on Twitter, I've spoken so much about it. I talked about it on Respawn Aim Fire with them. I was a guest on one of their episodes, a couple of them. It's, God, dude, it's probably my game of the year next to like Doom Eternal. Ghost of Tsushima it's really boosted by its open world. I think it has, I compare it a lot to The Witcher 3 because Witcher 3 is my favorite game. So I compare the two a lot because I want to know, like, what is the better game, in my opinion. But they both have, like, their own things. I think Witcher 3, I think the open world is good, but what brings that game to the standard that it's at is the writing, the characters, the journeys you go on, kind of like everything you experience in that game. On top of it, it's a fun open world. it's I'm not gonna lie, The Witcher 3 open world isn't amazing, but it's like it's fun to explore sometimes, but there's not a lot there. I think Ghost of Tsushima has a fun story. It's alright. I enjoyed the story, but when it comes down to it, the gameplay is fantastic. The open world is godlike and phenomenal. It's better than most open world games that I've played, and I think it really, not to touch on it too long, I think it sets the standard for open world games to come, and it's a game that Ubisoft is going to copy, but I want to see it because I'm writing a script right now, and I kind of start by saying, like, I hate that how games are compared so much, because you should let a game breathe, you know, instead of always comparing it to another game, which we'll get into later in the show for one of these games. But saying that, I think Ghost of Tsushima is the perfect Assassin's Creed RPG. Like, that is what Assassin's Creed should strive for in their RPG elements, is what Ghost of Tsushima brings.
That sounds neat. I want to play that. I want to play that game someday. I want to be able to, because it's like another one of those games where I've heard so many good things about it. Like, I've seen reviews and stuff, and I like the idea. Like, I think there's like this kind of like difference in style of, like, you know, being more like, you know, straightforward, and I guess like traditional samurai kind of thing, where you like face off against opponents, like. And then there's like the sneakier, like, sort of ninja kind of style where you're just going around, I guess, playing a little more dirty, like sneaking around doing an assassination type shit, which is my jam. That's what I want to do. I don't want to play fair, so.
Yeah, I think you would really enjoy this game, honestly. I think it would 100% be your jam.
I assume it would be.
Also, I gotta call out Chad Michael Innes right now from Respawn Aim Fire. Imagine not playing Ghost of Tsushima. Play it, you coward. Moving on, speaking of him, actually, Marvel's Avengers. That game came out, and like, I'm sure you've seen the buzz online leading up to this game's release, where everyone just kind of like expected it to be this dumpster fire failure, and I think some people are still claiming that's what it is. But I really like this game. This is coming from someone who like really liked Destiny, and like I like the idea of games as a service games. But I think this game, just in its single player campaign, I think really pulled me in. I guess I'm a huge superhero fan. I love them, so maybe I'm more forgiving of like stupid ass plot points. But I had so much fun with this game. I think the combat is like, it's nothing to write home about, but it's fun. It's serviceable. It's there. Like there's a little bit of like challenge to it, a little bit of like mastery, you could say. So I think there's enough there, and I played a lot online. Once you get into like the multiplayer stuff, played it with my friends Chad, Matt, and Dallas. I call him Chat.
One of my closest friends, Chat.
Chat with Chat. No, but like I play with them a lot, and we kind of like we call it whenever we want to play, we go into the chat and we're like, hey, you guys ready to ass symbol? And then like we get into the chat and we just go ass.
I get it.
Ass joke.
Subscribe.
Please subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating.
For more of this A+ comedy.
For more 20-minute rants about an obscure 3DS game.
Honestly, I think I should do a show just about that. I have a feeling I'd be really good at it.
Probably. But yeah, so just like, not to spread too long on that, it's a fun game. I think the multiplayer's there. I think once they add more content to it, I think it'll be amazing. Right now it's still really fun, and I do like, right now I think the highest power level is 150. That's the max.
Shit, there are power levels in this game?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck.
Not in like a Dragon Ball way, more in like a Destiny light way, but you know what I mean.
We're not gonna see any over 9,000s. It doesn't go that high up.
No over 9,000s. But I think so. My Captain America's at like 90 right now. So I mean, I've
It is
definitely
over
grinded
9.
this game a lot. It's over 90.
Indeed.
It,
That sounds like a pretty okay experience. I'm not really like big on superheroes, especially not like you are, so I can't really like say for sure. Like one of the only like real like I guess superhero game type experiences I've had is one with the Deadpool game, and then two with Marvel Ultimate Alliance, I think it was called, when I was a kid.
mm-hmm. That game's great.
Yeah, I really enjoyed playing that.
One
game.
of my favorite games for sure.
Yeah, I played that game a lot. I played through that whole game, I think, with my dad. And I played as Spider-Man pretty much the entire game and did not want to switch characters because I didn't like change.
I feel that.
I want to play through that game again someday.
I'd be down. I remember I gave you a copy of the second one for the Wii one time in middle school, and you never gave it back.
You never gave me back Mario Sunshine. Yeah, your move.
I don't remember.
Checkmate.
I don't remember what happened to that. I know I still have your Luigi's Mansion, but like I don't remember what happened to Sunshine.
Yeah, I remember I gave you Luigi's Mansion and Mario Sunshine, and you gave me Ultimate Alliance 2, I guess, and also Mario Kart Wii.
Mario Kart Wii.
Yeah.
I think I gave you another one too, because I gave you Mario Kart Wii and then 2 games I thought you'd kind of like that I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. I guess we'll never know what the third one is.
I guess not, because I don't sure as fuck remember.
It'll forever
Horizon
be
Zero
mystery.
Dawn. Horizon Zero Dawn. That's a game that
You live
that came
streamed
out
this before, right?
I did. I was replaying it last night, and like I remember when I streamed this.
Yeah.
So I mentioned that my friends at Respawn Aim Fire have like this barf thing that they do. This month they're actually extending it 2 months to give people time to play Horizon Zero Dawn. So I decided, why not? You know, like I had this game. I run a PlayStation podcast, so I should, you know, play the PlayStation games. So I was like, why not? I need to finish it, right? I do. So I started replaying it the other night, and don't have much to say on it, but I am really enjoying it. I don't know if it's because I'm playing on a 4K TV now or whatever, but it's so fucking smooth. Like, there's so many times where like the menus just run insanely smooth, and I'm like, I'm not used to this. I don't understand like why this is so smooth. And also, like, one other thing I want to point out, the only other thing is that sometimes the character models are like really stiff, like when they're talking. Like you can see my camera right now, Andrew. No one really else can. But if you're looking at it, characters are like this when they're talking. Hi, welcome. Would you like something from my shop today? And then like Ayla would be like, no, I don't. Well, I mean, her voice sounds fine, but like just like stiff, like their eyes like that, you know?
I'm reminded more of Andromeda when I see that.
Kinda. Honestly, it gave me like an old school kind of like Fallout 3 New Vegas type of vibe.
Oh yeah, that's also a good point. I should know that because I played New Vegas like months ago.
True. It's not as bad as Andromeda or anything.
No, it isn't. It's just hardware limitations and stuff for that. Andromeda was just not great.
Yeah, no, that was the ass. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, nothing really to say about it. I'm going through all the Assassin's Creed games like I usually do because that's my favorite franchise. My favorite franchises, I'd say, is Assassin's Creed, Doom, and then The Witcher.
Really?
So,
I had no idea.
True.
That's
I think
so
everyone
surprising.
knows it at this point. So I'm going through and I'm getting the platinums in all Assassin's Creed games. Almost done with Brotherhood. God damn, I hate some of these like mission requirements though. And then like there's secret fucking flags that you have to find. I'm like, I'm not doing this shit, but whatever.
Is it like
Doom
the
20
feathers?
Kinda. I platinumed Assassin's Creed 2 and that was a fucking nightmare. Because they have feathers and flags that aren't on the map. So I had to look up like guides and shit online. Luckily, in Brotherhood, the flags and feathers, you can buy maps for them that show on your map. But that's not all the flags. There are flags in the shrines that you go into that have like maybe 3 or 4 flags in there, and they're not on the map. So it's like you have to go through those shrines and find the flags. It's not like terrible. It's not as bad as AC2, but
it sounds very
it's rough.
inconvenient.
Yeah, I think Ubisoft was pretty inconvenient a lot of times with their trophy requirements.
Yeah, is there any way for you to like be able to tell whether or not you've gotten all of the flags in a shrine?
Yeah, luckily they do tell you in the DNA bar, like what flags are in which shrines.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Yeah, if they didn't, I would lose my mind because
I had such bullshit.
I had a conniption fit platinuming AC2. Like there's most of the collectibles are hidden, including like the flags, the glyphs, the feathers. They're all like hidden, so I had to look them all up online and just like stop the video and then go to that spot and then go to. It's awful.
I had so much trouble with the glyph puzzles. I remember when I was playing through that because it's like those markings that you'll see and you'll go to them and then like you'll have to solve puzzles and stuff in order to unlock like Adam and Eve sequences and shit. Some of those puzzles like I just could not like fucking like I couldn't figure out for the life of me. Like there was one that I think basically equated to like a kind of spot the difference sort of thing, but like it was really weird because like just it was so fucking like I would look up guides and shit for that. It was like one of the things where I would look up guides and shit for it and I would still be confused. I would still have no idea what to do, and that's all I can say about it because I can't. Those things
are rough because they're also kind of like randomly generated too for some of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my god! What the fuck?
Sometimes you can look up the puzzle name, but like just saying like, just because this glyph is on my building here, that same glyph won't be on that building. It might be a different glyph with a different puzzle. Kind of thing.
Oh, that sounds so frustrating.
Yeah, and they're in Brotherhood too. Luckily, so my big problem with the glyphs. I don't want to talk about every game on my list for like 10 years, but my big problem with AC2 with the glyphs, real quick, was that I'd already done a few. So going back and going on YouTube and looking up where they're at and then going to it, it was sometimes annoying because I had to make a spreadsheet and like say like I've been to this one or I'll go to that and I'm like, okay, that one's done now. I did that one and it's so fucking annoying. So it's in Brotherhood too. So I have to, luckily I haven't done any of them, so it shouldn't be that bad, but I don't know. Doom 2016, I've already beat it on PC this year. So I'm going through and I'm platinuming it on PS4. Not much to say except for the fact that I hate shooters on controller. It's really clunky. Yeah, dude, Doom on keyboard and mouse is a godly experience that I think everyone should have the privilege of like getting to enjoy. Not to sound like an entitled PC gamer because I don't play PC as much anymore. I'm addicted to getting trophies and platinums now on PS4. But god, dude, Doom and Doom Eternal on PC are like the most fun things I've ever played.
Damn, interesting. I'm always so used to playing like especially first-person shooters and everything on like controllers. When I got Doom like I think day one on the Xbox One, and I had so much fucking fun with that game though. Like I 100%ed it like on my first playthrough. It did take me a couple of days just because I was really trying to be meticulous about shit. And like I couldn't really play like super late into the night or anything because I was using a shared TV and stuff because it was the living room TV. But you better believe I was in that fucking ugly ass recliner, just sat square in front of that TV on almost every hour I could when that game came out because it was just so much fucking fun to play through. Like even when I got frustrated trying to find like the secret levers and shit, like there's this one that like I think it's in like the second or third like level. It's hidden behind a couple of barrels, but like the handle of it is yellow, so it kind of blends into those yellow barrels, and I had so much trouble finding it. I looked up. It's like one of those things where I looked up a guide, and like as soon as they just went right over to it, and I'm like, I'm such a fucking idiot because it seemed so obvious, but it like again the handle of the lever was kind of yellow, so it sort of blended in. So like,
Yeah.
and it was like back at the beginning of the level. I was searching through like a lot of the open areas, but it was like in a more enclosed space, like just before you get out into the openness of the level. So I never went back that far. So I just kept scouring the rest of the level like over and over again and couldn't find it. So I did get frustrated sometimes, but I did like have fun finding a lot, like most all the collectibles and shit. The secrets I wasn't as big on because the levers were hard to find for me. But I enjoyed like secret finding and everything. I felt like Doom had a really good balance of that kind of stuff, of like just the like fucking straight run through carnage type of stuff that I guess the series is kind of known for, but also like going around and finding secret shit. It was so rewarding.
Yeah. Yeah, I will say that, like, I as well. When it came out, I played it on Xbox, and I enjoyed it. I don't remember too much, but like I remember really enjoying it. But it's just like when you go and play it on keyboard and mouse, it's insane. It's hard to go. It's hard to walk away from, I guess.
Once you go mouse, you never go back.
True. And then real quick, just clearing some stuff out of my backlog. I beat the first Modern Warfare, COD 4. Really enjoyed it. Good game. Modern Warfare 2, I'm like halfway through. I'm really enjoying that one. Witcher 3, like I said, it's my favorite game. I've beat it already. I played it on PC. I didn't do as much as I wanted to in that game, so now I'm playing on PS4 to get the platinum. But fuck, dude. To get the platinum, you have to play on Death March, the hardest difficulty. I'm dying to dogs, Andrew.
Oh shit. You're dying to dogs, huh?
Dogs are killing me in like 2 hits.
I mean, they're pretty dangerous, man. They go right for that jugular.
That is very true, but
Very accurate.
In a video game where I'm a witcher with a big ass sword, I should be able to kill him.
Big ass swords are hard to swing around at fast moving animals. I'm sorry, continue.
I guess that's true. Fall Guys, I've been playing a lot. It's a really fun game. Watch Dogs, I started replaying that because there's something we'll talk about later on in the show, but still really enjoy that game. Still a huge Aiden Pierce fan. I really like Watch Dogs 1. I think I'm like one of 5 people that really liked Watch Dogs 1 and Aiden
You excited
Pierce.
for the third one?
God, no.
I know. That's why I asked.
And then Terraria, finally. I've played this as a kid, loved it. Me and Andrew and my brother have been playing it a lot. I've allotted 120 hours into Steam now on that game. Just playing it this year. Still a great game. You didn't watch the stream, actually. I played with my friend Holden, teaching him the game. Yeah, dude. That stream had so much, like, so many people watched it and were, like, interacting. It was so fun. It was such a fun stream. You really missed it.
Oh, that's nice. It's always when I don't show up when streams get really good. I think I'm noticing the problem with your popularity.
Nah, man. You attract people.
Well, I am quite attractive.
That is true. So, yeah. But now that we're done with that, before we get to news, I want to take a second and take a word from our sponsor.
Okay, well, where do we... I guess I'll start with something that I guess I'm personally more invested in, just because I actually watched it happen. Just a little bit earlier, I think like a couple of days ago, there was I think a bit of a surprise direct. It was a Mario-themed Nintendo Direct for Mario's, what was it, like 35th anniversary?
Yeah, 35th.
Yeah, 35th anniversary. So it was just it was a nice little thing, you know. It was just it was just a cute little present, you know, just celebrating their gaming's biggest icon. So there were a couple of announcements. I think like one of them was like an update to Mario Maker 2. I think another one of them was like stuff where like Mario 3D World was being moved over to the Switch, and then there was like an added thing like Bowser's Fury or something at the end. And the only teaser we got was like a fucking stormy night with like some fucking gravestone looking thing, and I didn't know what to think. I was like, alright, cool.
Badass though.
Are we gonna see is it actually a grave, and are we gonna see a dry cat Bowser?
3D World was like hella underrated, I'd say. I really enjoyed 3D World.
Yeah, I think the reason it was kind of like, I guess, flew under for a lot of people was, it was like, I think it was kind of like in the, like, it was kind of in the cusp of like the thing that Nintendo was doing, where it was a lot of, it was a lot of like, what was I gonna say? It was a lot of like new Super Mario Brothers type stuff. That's the thing. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
Got it. You made the roundabout. Like it was in that cusp of like where they were just doing a lot of like the new format kind of things, and like even stuff like Mario 3D Land. While it was, you know, it was very unique, you know, in comparison, because for one, it was a 3-dimensional Mario. It was a lot of fun to play and stuff. A lot of those games were. But it kind of like felt very similar as a lot of the other titles. So I think a lot of people assume that about 3D World. So that's like just kind of what people thought of it, and then they just kind of like skipped over it. Okay, now what were you gonna say about 3D Land?
3D Land and World are, I want to say, kind of like not tossed in the same conversation, because hear me out, because they're kind of like pseudo 3D, I'd say, because it's not a 2D game, but it's not like this open world 3D game like Galaxy or Sunshine 64, all those type of games, Odyssey. So like I think they kind of get left behind in the conversation. And then when people were like speculating this 3D pack, you know, it was like, are they going to include 3D Land and World? And I always just kind of consider, like, no. Like, I don't think they're in the same conversation in 3D games, because they're not really the same format or formula. So,
right.
I don't know. 3D Land, though, was also hella underrated. I played that so much as a kid.
Yeah, we played it together once.
We did. We played World a lot.
Yeah, we did, and we got kind of competitive. But it was a lot of fun, though. I like that idea of, like, you know, the points being racked up, and then like the winner gets the fucking like crown and shit, and then you can kind of fight over the crown. It was a lot of fun.
We fought over the crown so much.
I know, it was so good. It was so fun. I want to play through that again now because of those memories.
Same, dude. Maybe one day with this remaster, you know, with this port,
we can face off together against Dry Cat Bowser. I think we were like one world away from beating the game too.
Were we? I think we only got 2 worlds in, Andrew.
No, I think we got a few worlds in. Maybe not as close as I'm thinking, but I think we got quite a few worlds in, actually. Depending on whether or not it was 6 or 8 worlds.
I remember that night we played a couple hours of 3D World, and then we played a lot of Subspace Emissary.
Oh yeah, Subspace Emissary. I don't want to get off topic, but that was a lot of fun too.
Dude, Subspace Emissary was... Dude, that was fucking good. It's not great, and, like, I don't know if I'd ever want it, like, remastered or anything, because it's a waste of effort, because it was kind of but it's fun, especially with friends.
Yeah. It's just one of those things that's a lot of fun to, like, go back to, you know?
Yeah. It's like knowing this is what it is, not really, like, saying, like, oh, it's so good, I need to go back to it, you know?
Yeah. It's just a lot of fun to re-experience, especially with other people. I feel like I wouldn't have... It's like one of those things, like, I guess it helps the argument of it not being, like, super great when you just don't have as much fun when you're just playing through, like, a campaign by yourself. like kind of like it's a lot more fun when you're playing it and experience it with another person. Like you can experience some of it. Some of it's like more, I guess, kind of not so great moments like together, and you can kind of laugh about it together, and you can have fun together in like the moments where it's like it's actually like really ramping up in terms of its like how fun it is to play. I think like some of the final sections are where it really started to kind of drag a bit, like the section, like the maze section at the end, which I loved and hated because I kind of liked its concept, but it was like the thing where you had to like go through like a bunch of different like fucking random bullshit to go and fight a bunch of random shadow bullshit people in order to fight your way to like the final boss, and it kind of dragged on, like it overstayed its welcome is what I'm getting at.
Hey Andrew.
Yeah.
Do you remember when this fan made a game called Super Mario Royale? Do you remember that?
Super Mario Royale?
Remember some dude made a Super Mario Battle Royale where you had to finish the game first?
Oh, I think so. Yeah, I think I heard of that.
Yeah, Nintendo remembered, and then now they're coming out with Super Mario 35.
Wait, what?
Remember in that direct, that Mario direct?
Oh yes, I remember. Oh fuck, yeah, I know what you're talking about now. It took a while for it to click with me. It's like this thing where you can fucking like fuck over other players by like playing well. You can like add other enemies and shit into their shit. Like that.
Yeah, it's like Tetris 99 for Mario.
It seems like such a fun idea.
My
I wonder
thing
how
with
it'll go in execution.
Yeah, it just sucks because it looks like it's only available until March 31st, which sucks, but it's like, okay, it's a free game, whatever. But it's also like they took down Super Mario Royale, so it's either like they were already working on that, so they took it down, or they were like, fuck you, take it down. But that's a good idea, let's take it.
I wouldn't be surprised if the latter was true, because they've been known for taking down like very passionate fan projects before, like Pokemon Uranium.
Yeah. I hope they compensated him in some way, but I don't know. I mean, he has like a YouTube channel where he like talks a lot about shit, so I'm sure he's probably talked about it by now. I just haven't looked into it. But yeah, keep going with the Mario announcements though.
Okay, well, I guess I'll move on to the highlight then, or at least the highlight for me, just because I have a bit of personal stake in this, I guess you could say.
Yes, the highlight. They finally announced Mario items coming to Animal Crossing.
You know it, bud. I was waiting on that for so fucking long. You have no idea. I was like, it's one of Nintendo's biggest IPs. I'm surprised there's not like fucking Mario rep yet. So I was very excited to see that.
Seriously though, that's not the news. The real news is the Mario themed Splatfest for Splatoon 2.
That I'm not as invested in because I never got to play Splatoon 1 or 2. But
it's really fun, but I don't have 2 anymore.
Oh, really?
Seriously though, rope us into the real news, Andrew.
Alright, so we talked earlier about stuff. We talked earlier about like Mario 3D World getting moved to Switch with a little bit extra. So now, as it turns out, there are an entire 3 games being moved over to Switch, and they are all also voice crack. They are all also 3D Mario games, but full 3D Mario games, and the games in question are Mario 64, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Galaxy, and they're all 3 being put together in one package, one small little Nintendo Switch cartridge, in the form of Mario 3D All-Stars.
And gamers are not happy.
Yeah, I've heard. I think is 3D All Stars also available for a limited time?
Yeah, they are pushing it. Like they're taking it off even the digital store March 31st. Jesus. And I think it comes down to you can get into the rundown of like everything in a minute. I just want to talk about the exclusivity for a minute. I think it comes down to they want to make it a limited run release. I think they do kind of want to make some. I think in their heads it's also like, oh, the other All Stars, were limited editions, and I don't mind it too much because yeah, the other All Stars were limited. It's kind of fun, but also thinking about it, they kind of need to make Q3 sales, and so like people wouldn't. Not a lot of people would buy it this year if it wasn't limited, So they kind of need like some big game to boost up their Q3 sales at the end of the year. So it's like, it's kind of scummy. It kind of sucks, but like I get it. And there's also been a lot of like rumors and reports that this Mario 35 celebration was pushed back so fucking long. Like apparently it was supposed to start around March or something, so that come the end of March 31st, that would be a whole year of Mario 35 stuff. Instead, because of whether it's COVID or whatever, it all got delayed until now. So now we're seeing a game that's only available for like 6 months or something.
Yeah, right. It's a little disappointing because like, that's my birth month, That's my birth month, and I'm not gonna be able to experience that. That's gonna be gone.
This is my birth. It comes out in my birth month and it ends in your birth month.
Yeah, like damn. Like it doesn't come out on my birthday because it or go away on my birthday. It goes away on March 31st. Mine's March 30th. But like fuck, man, that sucks because I'm not in a position where I can get that before time runs out. So that's a bit of a shame. And I've also heard people complaining about like how it's I guess a menu is formatted, like how like the different games of the collection are displayed. Like there's a lot of empty space and shit, and people don't think it looks very good.
I saw that as you were ranting earlier about that 3DS game. That was on Twitter.
I see.
But I think it looks alright. I like the menu for it, honestly. Like it kind of gives you like a little bit of like history with some of the games and everything. It gives like some nice screenshots and stuff.
I'm not super big on it.
I think the big thing people were complaining about though is in the big like opening sequence for it. I don't know if you saw it. It shows Mario 64 in widescreen, and it plays the Mario Galaxy 2 music.
Galaxy 2. Right. I kind of forgot about Galaxy 2. Like, apparently Nintendo did. They just completely forgot that game existed. Yeah,
that's what a lot of people are mad about. I don't care. I really don't care that Galaxy 2 is not in it. It's like, okay. I mean, Galaxy 1 was kind of better anyway.
Galaxy 2 was the expansion pack. It expanded things and dumbed down others. I wasn't big on how it structured its levels and stuff, and like the lack of Rosalina until like the very end.
That did suck.
I think
Galaxy 2 was good, but I think just leaving it out's really not that big of a deal in my mind. I think I don't want to say people actually aren't upset about it because I don't want to discredit anybody that is. To me, it kind of feels like an argument that some people, not all, want to use to kind of be like, oh, screw you, Nintendo, you're greedy. I want to complain about this. But it's like, is it that big of a deal that Galaxy 2's not in it? Like, I get it, it's a sequel to Galaxy, but like, it doesn't have to be in the collection though. Like, it's not an all-star in my eyes.
That's exactly the point. It really isn't like, because like fucking, I don't think like the fact that I had trouble recalling Galaxy 2 probably can probably say something about it. Like, Galaxy 2 was big. It was big. It was loved. Hence the apparent outrage at not being included. But it wasn't like this like fucking huge thing like games like Galaxy and Mario 64 were.
Yeah.
I guess like Sunshine wasn't like as big, but it was the 3D Mario platformer of the GameCube. So you got to fill that generation gap in there, and I think it's still unique enough, like with how it played and stuff, to warrant a spot, an all-star spot. And I'm glad it's there because that's the Mario game that I grew up with. Hence my like personal stake in this. I'm glad to see Mario Sunshine getting some love. I was happy to see that.
That's me with 64, I'd say. I grew up on 64, and I never beat it because I was a dumbass kid. Like, I can't beat 64. I don't know how to fuck to play it, but I'm glad I finally can now. And I think there's a lot of issues with it. I will say it. Getting into the complaints, right? Let's get into that. Both the 64, I think the two complaints are it's not widescreen and it's not a remaster or a remake. People really wanted a 64 remake because that's what the leak like suggested. So I think that's people's biggest thing is that they're selling us 3 ports or like remasters because they are kind of remastered, I'd say, not just not remade. 3 remasters for $60. I don't see too much of a problem with that, but like, what's your take on it? I guess.
All right, so the thing is, I am not very knowledgeable on, I guess, pricing standards. I think I can kind of, like, see the argument, but at the same time, like, it's more than just one, it's, like, more than just one game, and these games are not small games by any means. Like, if you're thinking about, like, the standard Mario fare, like, each one of these has, like, the 120, like, MacGuffin collectibles things that you get at the end of levels. Mostly at the end of levels. There's, like, special ones for, like, getting a bunch of coins and stuff like that. But, these games are not small games. These are all pretty meaty. And yes, they're old. They're from a good little while ago, so maybe, like, the individual games probably, like, shouldn't be priced so high, but it's 3 of them combined together for new people to experience on a new console. I don't think the $60 price mark is really that shocking or that big of a deal. I guess for people like me it would kind of suck, but that's just the standard price of that's just the standard retail price of games nowadays. I think because it's a compilation of old games that people are feeling like it shouldn't be a brand new retail price. But again, it's 3 of them and they're big games.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
Yeah, I think it comes down to everyone wants to throw the comparison, right? And I'm so fucking tired of seeing this. I don't know if you've seen this picture where it goes like, where it's like, oh, Capcom, they remaster RE2. Like, oh, the remaster, that's what Capcom does. Oh, Square Enix remasters Final Fantasy VII. Oh, Activision remasters Crash and Spyro. Remake, not remaster, but all of those remakes, they remake them, and they're like, oh, Nintendo just up-res this 64 a little bit. Like, what kind of an idiotic, like, argument is that? Like, I don't mean to be too hostile in this, but it's so fucking stupid. Are we going to forget that a year ago Nintendo just remade Link's Awakening?
And they did remake Mario 64 before in the form of Mario 64 DS.
Yeah, and it's like, the thing is, I love Nintendo, but it's like I don't buy all their stuff. Like, I'm not just defending them because I feel like, and I'm not a consumer like everyone wants to throw it out if you defend something. But it's just kind of like, yeah, it's free people just consume product and don't think about it and don't criticize it. It's just, it's kind of dumb because I feel like all of those, like, do not try to come at me and tell me that Capcom has not re-released the same copy of RE2, 3, or 4, especially 4, like, so many times.
Oh yeah,
Do
hence the
like
Steam port. The Steam
yeah,
port
and
among all the other ports.
yeah, Switch, phones, Wii, like
That one
like
system I can't remember the name of.
yeah, like exactly. They port the RE games to like everything. So they remake 2 games, and just because of that, do not come and tell me that they don't port their game to like every single like console. Does that mean it's right? I don't know. I mean, it's like there's a place for it for sure. Just like there's a place for anything. Do I think you have to buy this 3D All-Star pack? No. Like, spend your money the way you want to spend it. If you don't want to play Mario 64 again the same way, I completely understand you. Like, just because it's on Switch doesn't mean it's, like, going to be amazing. If you don't want to play it again, then I completely get that, you know? Like, not everyone has to play just because it looks a little bit more pretty. It's just kind of, like, put the argument in the right place, I guess, because I think all of those companies have remastered their games, like just ported them to somewhere. And Nintendo has also like, they're not the best company, no, for sure. They just like put stuff out to make a profit, like all these ports they put out for $60, which I still like don't want to criticize because it's like more work goes into like ports than usual, like than people think. I guess people still need to get paid for the work they do to port it. Plus, like Nintendo also is kind of the company that like they've been known to kind of like cut their salaries or stuff to help with like employees or something. Like if something happens in the company, I think wasn't it like Iwata, he stepped down at one point from president to like help code a game before it came out or something like that or something. So like they're not a perfect company, but they're not like complete like asshat greedy either. Like they can be greedy, I'm never gonna say they're not, but I don't think not remaking 64 is that big of a deal. I think the other stuff around it, like maybe making it exclusive and stuff like that, that's where it gets a little bit like, yeah, I know you're trying to make a profit here. You're forcing people to buy it before they would want to, kind of thing.
Right, I don't like the temporary thing.
Yeah, it kind of sucks, but I get it because that's what they do for the All-Stars. I will say, though, I don't want a 64 remake. I really don't. I mean, I guess if it's made, I'm not going to complain about it. People can enjoy it, but I don't like 64 DS. I think the charm for me with 64 is the graphics. I think that's why I really like 64, on top of just the great game and movement mechanics. But when 64 DS came out and it was the regular Mario sprite and everything just looked normal, it didn't jive with me. And like I liked seeing Peach's Castle and Odyssey like remade and stuff, but I still don't know if I'd want a 64 remake per se. I don't know how really you feel about that, but
I don't really. Well, it'd be rude to say that I don't really care, because it's not a matter of like I don't really care. It's just if it gets remade, it gets remade. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Like Mario 64 is like one of those games that's, pretty fucking timeless. Like, in terms of like what it did for video games just in general, it's been around for forever, and its gameplay, while maybe a little dated now, like especially with how Mario like turns and stuff when he has to change his direction, he has to like walk all the way around. There are some parts about it that are a little dated, but I think most of the gameplay generally holds up well even today. So I don't think it really needs to have like some sort of like remake or anything. And yeah, I think it's fine the way it is. Just I'm not gonna like care one way or the other if something like that does get a remake, because it'd be understandable considering that's like it's like 1999, 1998. It's like it's a pretty old game. It was made when I was born, so like it wouldn't not make sense if they did decide to go that direction at some point. I don't think it's gonna happen. But if they did, it wouldn't be terribly surprising. And I don't think, honestly, if they did do like some sort of remake thing, I think it would be just more like the DS thing. I don't think they would do that much to change it, really. because there's not much that needs to be changed.
Yeah, I agree. I think some people would rather a 64 DS port, but just for me, it just doesn't feel the same.
No, it doesn't. 64 DS does have its own problems, like 8-directional movement, for instance.
I don't know. I don't want to come off like as an ass with everything I said. I just kind of like. Obviously, I play myself up for like a conversation, but it's like at the same time, it's weird, right? Because the opinions are complex, thoughts are complex. Just because I'm for and against something, but just because I'm for something doesn't mean I can't be against something. I can have like things in the back of my head that are like negative or positive. So it's like I'm not entirely sure what I am regarding this, because like I think it's hype. I want to get it because I want to beat 64, which I could just emulate it. I know that, but it's coming out now on Switch, and I would like to play it on Switch. I'd like to have my hours logged. I would like to play it portably. It'd be cool. And also Sunshine. I've never really played Sunshine except when I borrowed that copy from you, I guess, and played it for like an hour at Austin's house. And then Galaxy I played a lot of. I'd like to play it again. So it's like, I want to get it. It's got flaws and stuff for sure. I think Nintendo's doing some stupid stuff with this. But at the same time, I don't think some of the criticisms are fair, I guess.
Yeah, I can get that.
So, anything else you want to talk about regarding the Mario Direct? Which they dropped this Direct like with no timing at all, which is a smart move because annoying gamers are complaining, about getting too hyped over something.
Yeah, I didn't think there was any sort of fucking notice before that before it dropped. I didn't even realize it was a thing until I saw it in my recommended. I was lucky enough to see it. And then I watched along with it, and I was pleasantly surprised. I'm just to end things off on this particular topic. I am overall happy about 3D All Stars in particular, as most of this conversation has been dominated by that. I'm happy about 64. I played that a good couple of times. Just growing up, I played a lot of it. I played it mostly on the Wii Virtual Console. Never beat it. Never really beat it. But I did certainly come close. I think there were quite a few times where I got to the Clock World and the fucking Rainbow Carpet Ride world with the infinite staircase leading up to the final level. I got to that point a few times, but never really got beyond that. I would just play up to that point, and then I'd be done. But I enjoyed 64 quite a bit. Sunshine, I'm very happy to see there, because Sunshine doesn't really get a lot of love. I was kind of suspecting something when I earlier in the Direct they were showing those Mario sticker type things. And one of them showed Mario with FLUDD, and I was like, oh hey, there's Mario with FLUDD. Why? Because I don't think I've ever seen a Sunshine rep before, or if there has been, there really hasn't been that much of it. I think maybe the biggest bit of it was with Bowser Jr., because I think that was Bowser Jr.'s debut was in Sunshine. I think. I could be wrong.
I think so.
Yes.
I think you're right.
So I think that's the biggest Sunshine rep Sunshine has ever gotten, was just the debut of one of its characters. But I'm happy to see it there. It definitely wasn't one of the best Mario games. It did definitely have its flaws. Its pacing was a little bit strange. Especially with its requirements to get to the final level, not being that you have to have a certain amount of shine sprites, but that you have to have the 7th shine sprite in every stage in order to get to it. So you essentially had to almost completely beat the game in order to really get to that point. And that'd be fine enough. If I like the game that much, I'm gonna play through all the missions anyways. But some of the missions are ridiculously fucking tedious. Like in Pina Park, there's one of these missions where you're on like the on rails roller coaster, and you have to like take out a certain number of balloons like while you're on the roller coaster, and it's on rail, so it goes at its own pace. And if you miss those balloons, you miss those balloons, and you have to get them all. So it's fucking annoying when I just barely miss some of the balloons with those fucking water rockets. Like, it doesn't hit, hits 2 out of 3 of them, and I'm like, son of a fucking bitch. And, like, I hate that mission. That's one of the worst missions for me. 'Cause I hate it so much.
So, I know this podcast is going to be insanely long already, so sorry anyone listening. Probably won't be that long next week, because there's probably not going to be that much news. But I've been thinking about it, and I've heard some people talk about it. I think next year is Zelda's 35th anniversary. So, do you think they would do like a Zelda collection, or like would you want to see it? What would you want to see in it?
Oh god, I hope they do something like that. They've had a Zelda collection before. I know they've had a Zelda collection before on the GameCube because I've owned it, and it had Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the first 2 Zelda games with the Wind Waker demo and like a couple of special movies. And I played the shit out of that game. I owned that game, and I owned Wind Waker. Like, both of those games I had, but I would still frequently play the 20-minute demo of Wind Waker on that collection disc, and I don't know why, because I had the full game of Wind Waker already, but I played that demo a bunch, and I played Majora's Mask a fuck ton, because that was the thing that I had Majora's Mask on. That was the only way I could play Majora's Mask, and Ocarina, those other 3 games as well, but mostly Majora's Mask, and I really enjoy Majora's Mask, but I don't think I would want it on I don't think it would be on a new collection, just because it's already on a collection before. It's been recently updated for, the 3DS, alongside Ocarina of Time. If they did do like another Zelda collection, I don't know if it'd be like an All-Stars type deal, or just have like some of the best or most favorite Zelda games, especially if a lot of them are some of the 3D Zeldas. I don't know if they would be as willing to like pack a bunch of big grand 3D Zelda adventures together into one package, especially some of the more recent ones, if they tried to do something like that.
See, I get that. For me, I think the perfect thing to do would to finally port some of the last 2 things from the Wii U to the Switch in that collection of the Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD. Port those in that collection, which I know, being Nintendo, they would do those and they'd just be done. But I think adding Ocarina and Wind Waker, I think you'd have a perfect collection. Skyward Sword, I don't know. Like, I think if they put those 5 in a collection, it would be amazing. But knowing Nintendo and what they did with the 3D All-Stars, I don't think they'd do all 5, but it'd be amazing.
I wonder if they would try a thing where, like, because all 3 of the Mario games came out in different times on different platforms. Mario 64, Nintendo 64, Sunshine, the GameCube, and Galaxy, the Wii. So I wonder if they'll do something similar where they'll pull a Zelda game from each respective, like, console. So if they're going to go in the same order, like, 64, GameCube, I guess maybe the Wii, I think Zelda
they would definitely choose Ocarina.
Yeah, I was about to say, they're choosing Ocarina for sure, for their 64 game. They might choose Wind Waker or Twilight Princess for GameCube, because they were both GameCube games. Twilight Princess came out later, again, on the Wii, and, like, everything was mirrored, which is why Link is right-handed in that game instead of left.
Yeah. I think most people think of Twilight Princess as a Wii game, though. Like, it did come out for the GameCube, but I think it's the same way as people think of Breath of the Wild as a Switch game.
But it came out on the Wii first, technically.
Yeah.
But it was a Switch launch title, so people attribute it with the Switch more.
So I think, like, especially me growing up, seeing it, the Wii tag on it, and that's the copy I had was the Wii. It wasn't until, like, later on, I was like, oh shit, it's on the GameCube and I don't have to use motion controls?
Oh, that'd be nice. I wouldn't know. I played it on the GameCube. I had it on the GameCube, so I just played it on the GameCube. I didn't have to worry about motion control bullshit, thankfully.
That would have been great. See, I see Nintendo if they do that, doing Ocarina and then Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and using their ports from the Wii U. They would 100% choose Twilight Princess as their Wii port so that they could, you know, just reuse what they have already instead of having to remake Skyward Sword.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I was
But
just about to say I didn't think they had like any like significant 3D Wii title Zeldas, but Skyward Sword was the one. So that's interesting. Would it come down to like Skyward Sword or Twilight Princess? With stuff like, well, obviously now they've recognized how loved both Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are because they both got like the HD remasters on the Wii U. But like both Wind Waker and Twilight Princess were both like, you know, very like mixed, kind of overshadowed games in the time that they came out for the completely opposite reasons. Because, you know, Wind Waker came out and it was all cel shaded and like cartoony, and like people didn't like that because of, like the Space World demo and stuff. They wanted a gritty, more realistic Zelda, so they went all the way with Twilight Princess. So then they didn't really like Twilight Princess as much either because it was like, you know, it was way too dark. Where were all the colors, and like it was like a little too gritty and shit. Were like some of the complaints that I heard. I think Twilight Princess was still better received than Wind Waker at the time, but I think it's still kind of mixed.
People get mad when I say my two favorite Zeldas are Wind Waker and then Twilight Princess.
Do they?
Yeah, because I think Wind Waker's loved now, but I think there's still the people who are like, where the fuck is Ocarina? Or like maybe where is Breath of the Wild? Which I think Breath of the Wild would be my top 5. But I think, and even then, I like Majora more than Ocarina.
Yeah, honestly. I prefer Majora. I'd say Majora instead of Ocarina because I do prefer Majora's Mask that much. Because I did really enjoy Ocarina of Time. It's a fun game. It's a fantastical adventure. You know, it's still really fucking good in its own right. It just didn't grab me quite as much as Majora's Mask did. Like, Majora's Mask, like, everything about it, like, pulled me in, like, so much more that I can't, like, pull myself away from it, like, in favor of, like, other games. Even, like, if Ocarina is, like, a more important game and probably, you know, a bigger, more rounded game, I guess, instead of Majora's Mask. I hear people say that. But I just can't really pull myself from Majora's Mask that easily. And I guess some people feel that way about Ocarina of Time, which is why there are, like, the die-hard, like, Ocarina, fanboys who will just compare every new Zelda game to Ocarina of Time and say it's not as good and shit like that, because they have so much difficulty pulling themselves away from, you know, how enamored they were by Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, I think I think Ocarina is good, and I like Ocarina a lot, but I think it's my biggest thing with nostalgia and reviews is I think nostalgia works. Like, it's definitely a thing, you know, nostalgia's there. I can't fault anyone for having nostalgia.
Right.
But it's like, I think people take it like, for me, I have a nostalgia for a lot of things, but I'm able to pull myself away or like replay something and be like, I loved this as a kid and it did so much for gaming, but does that make it a good game? And I'm not saying Ocarina is bad, because it's fucking not, but I think whenever I hear the argument that Ocarina is amazing, I always hear, I played it as a kid, it blew my socks away, or it's the granddaddy of gaming. Like, it did everything for gaming, which I agree with. Ocarina was revolutionary. Like, I'm not saying anything to put Ocarina down, but I'd say that's one of the games that, like, if you were able to sit down and tell me with in-game elements why this game is amazing, I would believe you. But if you're only going to tell me what it did for gaming and what an impact it had, then I don't think that's that good of a review or anything like that. Same with, I love Assassin's Creed, but I don't like Assassin's Creed 1 because that game is very repetitive and like did so much for the series and everything, you know, like at the time it was great, but it's not a good game these days.
Yeah, I got you. We talked about Mario for a long time.
We really did.
We talked about it for so long. We almost took the entire hour.
I know, god damn it.
We are a lot more passionate about Nintendo than we thought.
Yeah, I know. I thought I was a Sony fanboy anymore. Shit. Yeah, sorry if you're listening. It's not going to be this long next week. This is our pilot episode.
We're very directionless still. We're just trying to iron out kinks and find out how we're trying to do this still.
It's like, I'm not used to, like, talking and, like, having, like, genuine, like, back and forths. Like, really good kind of, like, points. Because my other podcast, it's like, we're, like, my two co-hosts are really good. Like, they're really good at talking about movies, but I'm not. So it's like, it's good to have like both of us who are good at games, so we're able to have like not good at games, but like
good at games.
No. Good at talking about games, I should say, because I'm not good at games. So it's like it's good to have that back and forth.
Right. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been long, but it's been fun.
True. All right.
Such a long pause.
Moving on real quick, get to some small news. Really quickly, can you tell me what you wrote here? Stardew Valley 1.5? I haven't seen this.
Okay, so
is it an update, like just 1.5 or?
Yeah, it's a 1.5 update to Stardew Valley. And I think I haven't read much on it yet, but what I think one of the things about it is like I think it's something about like it's probably gonna flesh out the children a little bit more. I think so. Like, hold on, let me read something about this here real quick. Oh, we get to move our beds.
Nice.
That's it. That's the update. Good night, everybody.
Sick. All right, moving on. Is there anything else?
I think there's a couple more. There's like a couple more things. I don't think it's anything like super big. I think there's ducks now.
Nice.
We get to actually we actually get to sit down in like chairs and stuff, which I will be honest was a thing that kind of annoyed me in the game. Like,
yeah.
You can like really sit down in the chairs and stuff. I think there's like, you know, small things like that, and then I think there's like other things like I think there's like more like gear and stuff that you get to have. I don't think it's like anything super like major, but it is an update to Stardew Valley, and Stardew Valley is a good game, so I like brought that up because it's like I didn't have any preparation for it, but it's a game that I like, so like I thought it warranted it warranted like, you know, saying like, hey, it's getting updated, you know, there's like it's being worked on, there's some stuff to it.
Let's get to some console stuff real quick. I'm honestly debating taking the Ubisoft stuff out unless we can talk about it fast. But let's talk about Microsoft unveiling the Xbox Series S, and it got leaked, right? And so they ended up announcing it and also revealing everything we need to know about the Series X.
Okay, cool.
Which has prompted Sony to announce a PS5 showcase this Wednesday at 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So I think that's like 4 Eastern.
Alright, I'll keep that in mind. It's the 12th right now, right?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
We're not dating this recording at all.
Hopefully this will be up in a couple days. So either way, I think. Did you see the Series S stuff? Do you really know like the details about it?
I know absolutely nothing. I am a clueless baby boy.
All right, I'll give you the facts. Xbox Series X, right? That's their new next gen console. That's what's competing with the PS5. The Series S has been leaked for rumored for a long time because of them coming out with Series. It was like, oh, are they gonna do more? And then we had this Lockhart code name confirmed for a long time, like rumored. We're like, what is that? Is that the Series S? So it came out. Yes, the Series S is a 1440p machine that's also targeting 120 FPS. And I want to say real quick, I game on PC in 1440p. 1440p is great. I think people knocking it because it's not 4K haven't played 1440p, or they're just like really used to 4K, which I understand. But 1440p is really good, like a good in between. I really enjoy my 1440p like gaming monitor. So it's in between what the Xbox One does and what the Series X does.
Okay, so it's slightly lower down. It's like
yes,
a little more like I guess cost effective. I'm going to assume.
Yes, it's $300, and the Series X is $500, and they released on the same day, which is really gonna throw a wrench in Sony's plans. Which I'm a Sony fanboy before I get into any of this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But I want Sony to fail a little bit. Like there's part of me that's like, I'm a Sony fanboy, but like I want Microsoft to take an L because they got shit on last generation. I think they've really like done so many things that have been slightly pro-consumer for the consumer, even if it was to fill their bottom line. Like they really have tried to like come around, and I think Sony gets cocky when they're on top. So
yeah.
I do want to see Microsoft take some W's.
I just want to see everyone take one big old W and just have a grand old time.
I agree.
I don't want to take sides. I just want to play games.
I feel that. So maybe we'll get into more of a conversation. We probably will next week. More conversation about these consoles when we review the Sony thing.
Right. Let all the players play out all their cards first.
Yeah, exactly. They'll probably announce their dates, the release dates, all that. The Xbox Series X and S are coming out November 10th. I assume that the PS5 is going to be the 17th, I'd say. We'll see.
It's a prediction. It's official. Let's hold that to fucking recording.
Put that on my bingo card.
we need to prepare bingo cards for the fucking showcase.
I'm going to steal the Summer Games Bet Fest from Respawn Aim Fire, though I got them to say bet, and so they took that from me, so I'm taking their creation. I think my bet is that, that PS5 is going to be on November 17th. I can see them going after Xbox. I don't remember what it was actually last year, and I also think I don't see the PS5 going under $500. I think the PS5 is going to be $500, and the PS5 discless will be $450. I don't see them going down to $400. I really
let
don't.
Alone $300.
No, exactly. The Microsoft has that space like cornered.
Mm-hmm.
That market cornered. It's really. We'll talk about more next week, but it's really going to help them in the long run. Ubisoft. Unless you had something to say, I cut you off.
No.
Ubisoft had a Ubisoft Forward. There was no Assassin's Creed, so I didn't care. Just kidding. They showed off Immortals Phoenix Rising, which was formerly known as Gods and Monsters. And that game looked good. God, why'd they change the name? It's so bad. But
it does look like an interesting name choice.
I don't like it. It's being compared heavily to Breath of the Wild, which, like I said, it's like I want games to breathe and not constantly be compared to something, but it does really look like Breath of the Wild. But more of a good thing isn't really a bad thing in my eyes.
Are we gonna have this? Are we gonna start having like a bunch of wild style games, like we have a bunch of Soulsborne games?
Yeah, like the Souls.
Yeah, and we're gonna start calling it wild style now.
See, I mean, I think that's true because like look at how Witcher 3 influenced open world games. Like every open world game wanted to be The Witcher 3, especially Ubisoft. Like they wanted their Assassin's Creed RPGs to be Witcher 3. And now I think the gaming landscape is kind of like going towards Breath of the Wild, which it's not a bad thing. Breath of the Wild does its open world beautifully, so it'd be nice to see more of it. I can tell it's from the same studio that did Odyssey, and I fucking hate Odyssey. It's a travesty, but I think they wanted to make a Greek style, like a Greek mythology game, but they couldn't really do it in Assassin's Creed's limitations. So I think them making their own game is hype. I think it's a really good idea.
Right.
So like I'm interested to see it.
Yeah, that sounds. Yeah, it's more.
I can tell you're
mythology.
I can tell you're getting really tired now.
Oh, I'm not tired. I was just trying to think, because more Assassin's Creed stuff.
I guess we can move on real quick. Prince of Persia is getting remade. A lot of people say it looks bad, and I don't really agree. I mean, yeah, it's not like doesn't look like The Last of Us Part 2, but I mean, it looks fine.
Which Prince of Persia is it? Is it like the one
Sands of Time?
The one with the guy wearing blue, because that's the one I played.
Yeah,
I liked that game.
It's the first one.
I
played a little bit of it as a kid. I'm hyped to play it again and like beat it this time and kind of like actually enjoy it.
If it's fucking ass, then I guess there's always the original.
That's true. Speaking of originals and coming back, are you ready, Andrew?
I don't know.
Scott fucking Pilgrim.
Oh yeah, fucking Scott Pilgrim, baby!
That's like, you barely tweet, and like one of your recent tweets was literally just Scott Pilgrim with a period.
I really enjoyed the Scott Pilgrim game. Let me just tell you, I never got past the fucking vegan boss. I just never played past that point, because I played it a lot when I was a kid, so I didn't have a very good attention span. But I fucking loved playing through that game so much. I don't remember too much about it, but I remember that I really loved it, and it's kind of a blessing in disguise that I don't remember much about it, because I would love to play through it with a fresh set of eyes to like sort of re-experience that magic, because I know that I loved it. I know that I had a really good fucking time with it. I haven't read the books or anything, but I want to, because I've seen the movie and I really enjoyed the movie too.
Yeah, I've never played the game because it was gone beforehand, but the movie, starting off, I watched it as a kid. My dad took me and my stepsister to see it, and it was kind of just like, I was really young, and there was like sex in it, so it was awkward because my dad's kind of like one of those, like, you don't really watch that type of stuff around him, so it was awkward. I never remembered anything about that movie because I have a bad memory, but it's one of my girlfriend's favorite movies. We watched it again recently, and holy shit, that movie is like fucking like my life.
It's fucking awesome.
That movie is everything I love in life. Is fucking like my humor, my whatever is in that movie. It's one of my favorite movies now. I fucking love that movie.
It's such a good movie. I want to see it again now.
I showed it to my brother because he hadn't seen it. I showed it to my brother a couple weeks ago, and he was like, "This is so fucking dumb." But I mean,
motherfucker.
I was like, "Do you like it though?" He's like, "Yeah, it's good. It's just fucking dumb." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's kind of the point."
Well, at least it's a positive dumb.
True. He looked at me halfway through though, and he's like, "I know why you like this." He's like, I was like, "I fucking hate you." He's like, "This is your type of movie."
I fucking love it's simple things, but I love like little scenes, like Scott being like self-conscious about his haircut. Like,
Yeah.
like his like his ex I think points out his haircut, and like it cuts back to him, and he immediately has the fucking
Yeah,
hat
the hat
on.
on. I think my three favorite bits in that movie is A, the hat, B, there's one time where he goes to the party and he goes to the dude and he's like, hey, you know everyone, right? And he was like, yeah. And he just shows a really bad picture of just a girl with blue hair. He's like, who's this? And he's like, oh, that's Ramona Flowers.
He like knows immediately just from that drawing. You know.
And then my absolute favorite part of the movie is like when fucking I think it's when Knives shows up.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about
right now. And he fucking jumps
you know what? He just left. That was so fucking funny. That's what sold me on the movie when I saw it as a kid. I laughed my fucking ass off at that scene.
So good.
So
yeah, that's coming back.
Yeah, I can't wait to play that game when it comes back.
Same. Let's get into stuff I don't care about. Watch Dogs Legion still looks like ass. I love 1 and 2, but like
I still want to play as a team of grannies.
I just don't trust Ubisoft to pull the system off. I don't.
Oh yeah, they won't.
Yeah, but the Aiden Pierce is coming back. I don't know if he can be on your team or anything, but he gets his own mission chain, which sounds really cool. I fucking love Aiden Pierce. I think I'm one of the 5 people that do. But, like, I found him enjoyable. I don't think every character has to be a fucking Ezio to be entertaining. Like, just because he's a little monotone doesn't mean, like, you shouldn't like the character. He's still a badass. Like, I liked his story. I liked the journey. I think Watch Dogs 1 was a fun game. I don't know. I still like seeing Aiden Pierce. So that's cool. Sam Fisher is coming to Rainbow Six Siege. When the fuck are we getting another Splinter Cell game?
When was the last Splinter Cell game?
I think, was it Conviction? Or is it... I want to look up real quick. I have a computer in front of me.
I think I remember one that was like titled like Divide, but that might not have been Splinter Cell.
Blacklist. That was the last one. That was in 2013.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. That was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I thought it was like 2017 or something.
No, that was a long time ago. And since then, they've just been dangling Sam Fisher everywhere. Like, ooh, Tom Clancy mobile game. Ooh, do you want Sam Fisher? Play the Tom Clancy mobile game.
Pay $5.99 to unlock him.
I mean, honestly. But, yeah, so, I mean, it's cool that he's in Siege. My brother really enjoys Siege. Dude, my brother has 1 platinum, and it's from Siege.
Interesting.
I don't know how the fuck he did it, but he plays that game constantly, so...
I kind of want to like try that game out, but it's like another one of those like team-based things, so it's kind of competitive, and that scares me because I don't like how heated that kind of shit can get. So I tend to stay away.
It is really fun though. Like,
yeah.
You can play it on my Steam account one day. I don't mind. It's fucking fun.
All right, cool.
And then the last thing they showed off, Riders Republic. It's giving me Tony Hawk, Steep, and Trials vibes, because it's kind of like that, where it's like, I don't have much to say about it, but there's like different modes where there's one of them where you're kind of like playing graffiti from Tony Hawk, and there's like, it kind of looks like a mass multiplayer online racing game with like bikes and snowboards and like paraglider, like chipmunk suits. Kind of, it looks fun. I want more information about it. The snowboarding aspects look like Tony Hawk because of like doing board slides and shit, but it looks fun.
Huh. It sounds like there's stuff to do. Especially if it's massively multiplayer.
That's true. And with that, gamers, I think that concludes our show.
Yeah, I hope,
do you have any
hope you enjoyed this 2-hour-long thing of ours.
Do you have any last minute things to touch on before we go?
Like, comment, and subscribe. I know it's not a YouTube channel, but do it anyways.
Yes, can you please do it? Like, We are desperate at this point.
We're just starting to help us make our dreams come true.
Maybe next week I will have eaten the Travis Scott burger.
Stay tuned for that update. That's good. That's our hook, you know.
Come back next week if you want to see my review of the Travis Scott burger right here on the Travis Scott Burger podcast.
I know I'll be excited.
Anyway, thanks for coming by, guys. I appreciate it. If you did come by, if you didn't, fuck you. But yeah, this next week's episode won't be that long because it's probably not gonna be that much news to touch on. But we have a lot of games that we wanted to touch on. So
yeah, and we might not ramble as much.
Yeah,
I might not
either
ramble
way,
as much.
It was fun either way. So
all right, take care.
Stay tuned to the Travis Scott Burger podcast, and I will see you next time. Have a nice day, everybody.
Goodbye.
Peace out.